call this Board of Aldermen meeting to order. If you'd all please rise and join us for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Bowman.
Present.
Alderman Milner.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Bachman. Here. Alderman Dickerson.
Here.
Alderman Leeson.
Here.
Alderman Reese.
Present.
Alderman Long.
Here.
And Mayor Hassel.
Here, and we do have a quorum. Good evening, everyone. We do not have any ceremonial matters tonight, so at this time I'll open the floor to public participation. Anybody who has anything to bring before this board that is not on our already scheduled agenda, please feel free to step forward. Seeing no one, I will close public participation. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First, tonight you have the minutes from the work session of June 4th, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Leeson, a second from Alderman Turner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next, you have the minutes from the regular meeting of June 4th.
Move to approve. Second.
A motion from Alderman Leeson, a second from Alderman Milner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Now, moving on to our agenda items. First tonight, we have the Love the Square Antique Tractor Show and Parade. Mr. Hofer is not with us tonight. Chief is out, so you get the part of Chief Hofer will be played by Happy Walsh tonight.
I'm not sure I'm a good fill-in, but,
You're a little shorter,
yeah.
just saying.
Thank you. So Love the Square has, wants to do a program on the square. Scott Beck actually has put this together with one of the antique clubs. Actually, I think there's like 3 clubs now that are involved. And do a tractor show on the square July 7th. It's a Saturday, from 11 till 5. And it'll also be in conjunction with the farmer's market, in that they'll be open from 11 till noon, and then if they want to stay open longer, they will. Some will probably stick around to 1 o'clock or so. So we'll have all those activities on that Saturday on the square. So what we're looking at is needing to block off Pearl Street so that we can start lining the tractors up on the north side of Pearl Street, work our way around, because the farmer's market will still be there in their spaces, and they can be on the south side of Pearl Street. So we're looking at this as a potential yearly activity, see how it goes this coming year. Everything's kind of flying loosely in organizing it, but it is a potential attraction on that Saturday to get people downtown.
All right, any questions?
I think it sounds great.
So then, would we block up the whole square then?
Well, we start with blocking off Pearl, all of Pearl.
So you block off Wall Street and
Just
Lexington,
Pearl and then
Pearl and Lexington.
If it grows, then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Pearl will be the first, then,
You'll already have Lexington blocked off at Wall Street because of the farmer's market.
If we approve of the,
yeah.
that's the next
If we
item, but I
yes.
don't see a reason why that won't. But yeah, that's,
Yeah.
the revised market area would close Lexington.
Okay.
Then Pearl is only half of it. We're suggesting close all of Pearl so the tractors can be on the north side.
On the north side.
And then we'll go on around from
To Wall or Independence?
there. We'd go to the Independence side of it, and then on around the corner, and then if need be, it need be the whole square if it gets enough.
We don't anticipate that many,
Yeah.
figuring 20 to 40 tractors, depends on how we have them line up, but most of that should be Pearl and Independence. And then if the farmer's market doesn't have that many people on the south side, we can line them up on both sides in that case.
It's a great idea. I think it's a good start for.
Will it be done with the roof of the courthouse by?
Yeah, I think they're finishing that up.
I think that's, we're supposed to wrap up at the end of last week. I think they've pulled everything out.
Yeah, all the scaffolding's down. I think they had one machine up there this weekend, but that was it. I'm anticipating they'll be done by the end of the week.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Milner and a second from Alderman Turner to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll have a tractor show. Next item is the revised farmer's market area.
So with the move, because of the construction that went on at the courthouse, we had to move them over to the Lexington side because the equipment, the dumpsters were all on Independence, on that east side. So I said, well, how about for a few weeks, let's go to Lexington, try it out, see how it works. They fell in love with that side of the square. They would like to stay there. What we ended up doing to make it where we could utilize both sides of the street, we block off Lexington at Wall Street. However, there was an ambulance that came through on this past Saturday, and the cones were cleared so the ambulance could get through and get to their needed destination. So that's one of the things that will make sure that somebody's watching that. But they found that they like having the street blocked off. You can have people wander around, you know, it's casual. You don't have to worry about cars passing by. Even with the 5-mile-an-hour sign, people are still driving through. So I think it makes your vendors feel safer as well as those that are shopping.
Well, another thing that was brought up is the proximity of where locating there, you're closer to Brick House, where there's people going to Brick House that come out and they're in eye shot when they walk out of Brick House, so there's more people saying, hey, let's walk over and check that out. So I think it's a great idea. I mean, the blocking the road is obviously, I think it's better anyway, because it gives, you know, people can, there's more room to expand the market, which they are growing. They've been doing a great job, but having the street block, people can kind of wander a little more and not have to worry about cars going by.
And if you're a mom with little kids, it's
Yep.
kind of hard to shop when you're worried about your kid getting hit by somebody
Yep.
driving too fast. So I think for safety reasons, it's worth it.
So the overflow area, we haven't determined whether to block that off. At this point, that would stay open. So you load up on South Pearl, but you still have traffic from Pearl Street driving through.
Yeah, I read
But
it.
that
That
would
was
be
in
the-
there.
Yeah.
Explain all that, yeah.
I would like to add just a comment. I understand the explanation, and I'm not opposed to the explanation and moving it, but I do need to tell you that I was approached by one of the businesses on the other side of the square, on the independent side, who prefers that the farmer's market stay where it is, because then that draws business, and draws shoppers to her business. So, you know, there's pros and cons.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But, you know, being a representative, I want you to know that I was approached, and that was the comment that she made.
Well, I think this way, we've had it on the other side, give it a chance to try it on this side and see, you know,
I think being
the
on the
people,
whole-
the vendors that are there, and let them have an opinion on where they feel like they have more customers, so. It's a good idea.
I hope it is.
Ideally, it'll be big enough to be on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think blocking the road is gonna be helpful again, because it's better, it is safer, and that road's not quite as heavily traveled as Independence, so. May end up helping them, so. All right, I have a motion to approve from Alderman Miller.
Second.
Second from Alderman Turner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you all will set up on Lexington. All right, health fair incentive.
So we've got a health fair planned for October, and there are restrictions that we can do with prizes and such because of IRS regulations. So one of the things that we did when I worked previously is we had half-day off, paid time off that we would give away as a prize. So my request is that we do 3 of the half-day off, paid time off, half-days. That those that participate, you have to participate in the health fair. If they come in, they sign a little piece of paper, they put it in the hat, and then we draw those out at the end of the day. It's a way to get people involved. We're looking at other things also to get more involvement. Out of 117 full-time employees, we have 33 that participate. That's a low amount. I'd like to get that up to around 50, 60. So we think that, you know, doing that, we're looking at providing breakfast, just trying to make it a little more, where people can come in and participate. Get them there to participate. And trying to decide if what we're doing maybe is a little too complicated in the way of the health screenings. that we can get more people involved. So this is just one of those things that I didn't feel I had the right to say, yeah, let's do that. I want to bring it to the board to get approval.
I have a couple of questions for you. What type of services are included in the health fair?
So they call it biometric and cardiometric. At least that's what we've done in the past. What I'm worried is that these, you have to set up a time, and it takes 15 to 20 minutes to do it. I want to look at what NPR offers, which is more of just a biometric screening, because then you can get in 5 minutes, go get something to eat, and then you're gone back to work. Some people don't want to spend a lot of time. So we're weighing that as potential. But at the base, it would be biometric where they draw blood, and you'd find out what your sugar level is, you'd find out, and get your blood pressure in that. But also there's a few of the blood tests that I can't repeat at this point, what they are.
I think if it's like ours, they do like the glucose, your good and bad cholesterol levels. They do your blood pressure, obviously. They even have a thing to determine your BMI. Obviously, they weigh you and take your height and take that all into account. We have one every year, and our company actually offers incentives through our. We have HSAs. They offer an incentive through the HSA, and it gets a lot of people down there since they did the incentive. So an incentive is definitely, it gets people's attention to. And it's funny when you start learning maybe you're not as healthy as you thought in some areas. You want to go back the next year to find out if you improve. So I think you're right. If you can get them in there, it will.
And Mr. Welch, perhaps it would be beneficial to inquire of the staff, why are they not participating? To be able to get the participation up, and what would they like to see in the health fair so that it would be more attractive to them, if not participating this year, perhaps participating next year. But they may be able to give you some insight into their participation.
So, yeah, just based on what I've seen in the past, we did the simpler screenings, and we got about 50, 60 out of 88 people.
That's good.
And I think that's kind of what we're shooting for here.
And
Yeah, I
be
think
really
you're right.
careful, don't feed them before they have their blood drawn.
Yeah, correct.
After breakfast. Happy, this isn't something that the insurance company is putting on, though.
No, what it is,
Provider.
we have certain amount of monies available with NPR that would help pay for this. Or through NPR and Cigna, who is our insurance provider, they would come in and do it.
Because I had insurance one time that had, the insurance company actually did the testing and stuff. And if the people came for it, they actually got so much off per month as far as their cost went. Plus, they had a points system. So they had certain things they had to do, and that was part of it. But it was having a gym membership, certain videos that you watched, that had to do with health and stuff throughout the year that they put up. Does our insurance provider, does the city's insurance provider have any of that they offer that's beneficial as far as costs go, monthly, something? Because that's incentive to people when they know they're going to save money on their health insurance every month. I know we made sure we got our points so that we were saving our $50 a month. I mean, it was significant.
So the financial incentive, no, they haven't approached us with anything along those lines from NPR. But we do, on occasion, we'll do you get a group together, and how many steps did you do today? What was your activity? And we just try to get people to participate. You get a fruit basket, that's the kind of incentives that we see.
I think the half days are a great idea because it's something that's valuable. I mean, it's at least a good place to start. I mean, it may or may not work, but I think it's a good place to start. So, any other comments or questions? Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Long for approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next we have the 2018 destruction of records.
So this is what we would like to try to do annually, what we need to do, based on the Secretary of State's listing of records that you do not have to keep after a certain amount of time. All of them have different dates. We have them boxed and ready to go. We'd like approval to get rid of our records.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Milner and a second from Alderman Reese. Any further discussion?
Quick question, where are the records stored at? Because I know some of these said they're water damage and mold on
So those are probably what's in the basement,
our basement.
in certain areas. I don't think we have any leaks in the back, or they may have been there longer than I can think of.
We did have a roof leak for a short time.
So they're stored here, not the police station.
Yeah.
Now, the police station did bring theirs over. They do have a storage facility back behind the garage, but they have brought theirs over here. Is that where you read that on the police?
Well, yeah,
Unless that was some older stuff that they had.
so the police says that due to heavy water and mold damage, they were advised to go ahead and,
It probably came out of the police department. But we have to keep them a certain amount of time.
right.
Until we can release them.
All right, any other questions? I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to our first council bill, Council Bill 41.
Council Bill 41, a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisonville to participate in the Mid-America Regional Council / Kansas City Regional Purchasing Cooperative Program and establishing an effective date.
So with a new purchasing policy, it allows us to sign up with cooperative purchasing agencies. We belong to the state, we belong to the NJPA. This one came across my desk, and we've had a webinar with the folks. And it's another potential for us to refer to and make purchasing decisions using through MARC, since that's our Mid-America Regional Council. So it's a group that we belong to, and it would be again, another way for us to look at large ticket items to see if we want to use that process instead of bidding every time, or it's just available, or we can get prices, look at what we should be estimating for certain projects. I thought it would be good to sign up with the group, and then we'll see if we want to utilize it later.
So it's not like we have to use them and go that route?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, any other questions? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Levison. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 41 will become Resolution R24. Council Bill 42.
Council Bill 42, resolution of the Board of Aldermen authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Vance Brothers, Inc. for slurry sealing of streets and establish an effective date.
Good evening, Rodney.
Good evening. I'm asking the city council to consider this. It'd be similar to what we did last year. Take a portion out of the money you set aside for asphalt maintenance. And some of those streets will be chip sealed and then slurried over like we did South Independence. So it'll make a cave seal. Just makes it more durable. Other streets just seal to keep the water out, make it last longer. Vance Brothers contract, the agreement would be for $119,000, $841.57. That's it. It's more money than I know. So those say almost $120,000. If you have any questions about where we'd like to do this, or any questions at all on that?
Do you have the streets already picked down?
They are picked out. We sent that out, and they brought it. Not every street would do the same price per square foot.
Right.
One of the ones that we plan on doing, like we did South Independence, is Twin Oaks, because it's at the stage we have to do something. It's too good to mill an overlay because it costs too much money, and so we do a chip seal and then a slurry seal on top of that. That'll last. So it'll be that. We have all of Katy Trails. See, maybe not Katy Trails lately. That is outside off EE. That will just be patching and then sealed. We got some other areas down, I want to call it the old picture show area, down on,
Garden Way,
or-
Garden Way.
yes, thank you very much. I should know that name of that, like, just didn't occur to me. That there, and just, we're going to try to finish up, I've got some areas out in Bird Addition, which we started, we didn't finish up Bird Addition, we'd like to finish up on Ridgewood. I'd like to get that finished up, be done with that.
What about Wall Street?
Wall Street, we had nothing to do on Wall Street this year, maybe next year, but nothing on Wall Street. We did do a lot of curb work this year, if anybody's been on Wall Street, there was a lot of bad curb, and a lot of it's been replaced. And it's really, I'd really tell you how much I appreciate the curb getting replaced, because that's the number one thing you get people calling about. And that is more than appreciated. So, any other questions, I'd be glad to answer.
So anybody that's driven on Independence, since they did it last year, I mean, that was probably the number one road that I got compliments from people about how nice it was. They could not believe how smooth and how well it turned out. And I had never seen that. I remember you and I talked about it. You were showing me what they would put down, and yeah, it's good stuff. It makes a difference.
How long is it supposed to last?
Depends upon the street. Depends on what you put it on top of. When you get done, what we did on South Independence Street, we put the chip seal down, which is a wall rock, and then you see the gravel, and then they come in and put about a 1/4 inch of, it's a mixture of very fine, like 1/4 inch, they call it sand, but it's limestone. It's like 1/4 inch, and they mix oil with that, and they make a slurry, they put it out, and it dries. And that gives you about, I don't know, the stone is, they put it out a little thicker than a 1/4 inch, but it dries to a 1/4 inch once the water goes. And so you got just a layer. If that gets damaged, of course, or if you're putting on top of something that will not hold it, then it's not going to last at all. So, but it fills the cracks. It makes a nice surface. It looks like asphalt once done. And it'll probably give you 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, it depends on the weather, I'm sure, too.
Right, I mean.
A milder winter, I'm sure, helps us out a lot.
And South Independence Street is a problem street because there's a lot of water underneath that. And if you go down, you'll see the water actually, after rain, you'll see the water coming up from underneath it. It needs a lot of work.
Is that the best way to fix that?
Pardon?
I mean, are we putting our money in a smart way, fixing it?
Well, right now, we're just trying to maintain it.
So
I
is
don't
that
wanna-
something we need to be putting money aside for because it's gonna need to be completely redone, is my
Eventually.
question?
And it's probably more a public works thing, but there's a lot of roads we have that needs totally redone. And that's more money than the city has. And so right now, we're just trying to maintain.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Ron, would you remind me, how do we notify citizens that we're gonna be working on their street?
the contractor puts out notices or knockers to try to stay off of it.
Mhm.
And that's what we do too, when we chip seal the street, we'll put out door hangers,
Mhm.
and that's our contact information, and they do the same.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Move to approve, Council Bill 42.
A motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Long. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council Bill 42 will become Resolution R25. Council Bill 43.
Council Bill 43, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with WillPav, Inc. for the 2018 asphalt program milling and overlay.
And this is the other half of the asphalt maintenance budget. This is the part that we cannot fix these roads just by sealing over top of them. A lot of these roads we're doing this year are concrete streets. One of them is Prairie View. One of them is Deepwood, out by Westchester. And on the other concrete street that we want to do is over on Halsey from Elm going down to the bottom of the hill. Those streets, the concrete underneath them is very poor, the potholes, and we've been cutting out and replacing the worst of it. But there's a very, the first 2 inches, they will mill out, and they replace that with with asphalt. And that's what we've been doing to a lot of roads for many years. A lot of the roads that you think are totally asphalt, they're not. It's got too much cap on it. So, we'll pave, the price of the will pave agreement is $279,000. I'm sorry, $279,338. Will pave has been in Harrisonville before. The last thing they did was on Commercial Street. It was the north section of Commercial Street. The other two main roads that we plan on doing is Washington Street, West Washington. If anybody's been on West Washington, that is deteriorating quite a bit. Good base underneath it, because if anybody knows anything about history of Harrisonville, they put, it's rock. They set stones on edge, and wherever the utilities didn't dig through it, it's still there. And in the same way with North Invest, all the way down to the old power plant. Notice how good that road is. Stones laid on edge, and the asphalt. But those are the roads we plan on doing. Also, the last one we want to do would be over on Elm Street. It goes from Price down to Bradley. And fix that road up. We've put more stop signs on it now, it's shoving and it's rutting, and that's what will help with that. And it'll be a little bit wider. We have to do some preparation, and plan on doing that on the last block going up to Bradley. And it'll make it a little safer.
That would be nice. The upper part's not as bad, but as far as the width, yeah, down there, that'd be nice. That's a very heavily trafficked road, by the way.
And that's shoving with those stop signs, that's become a major problem.
I can imagine.
So, I heard you correctly, then it's gonna be wider from Price to Bradley.
It won't be wider from Price to Bradley, it'll be wider from
What was that?
King
King
to
to
Bradley.
Bradley.
Yeah, not a lot, because
There's not much space.
there's not a whole lot of room there, but we're gonna push it over as far. To do that, we have to, actually, we're gonna be digging that out, and putting out an asphalt base, and then they'll be going on top of
Well, pushing's all the people still get used to that stop sign. They hit the accelerator when they're going either way. Oh, I gotta stop. They're stopping more stuff. People like Boston. Any other questions?
There is a correction that needs to be part of the motion. On section 1, I put in Sugar Hill, Missouri, if we don't know where the hell that is. Sugar Creek, Missouri. As it said in the staff report, it had it correct.
It's in the resolution.
So,
It says
yeah,
Sugar
in the
Hill,
resolution
Sugar
itself,
Creek.
section
Oh, it's right
1.
here, it's just true.
Yeah, it's right there. It's not right on the resolution. There's one here.
Motion to amend.
To amend.
Yep.
Make a motion to amend.
it. Okay.
I'll second that.
A motion from Alderman Dickerson, a second from Alderman Long to amend. Since it's a resolution, we don't need roll call, do we, for amending resolutions?
No.
Simple majority vote. Now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now,
No.
Approve the amended. Okay.
No.
Make a motion to approve.
we'll need this discussion still.
Does he need to reread it to, as a?
No, it's not an ordinance,
No?
so.
Okay.
So we're ready for this one?
Yeah, we're ready for.
I make a motion to approve Council Bill 43.
As
amended.
All right,
I'll second it as amended.
okay, I have a motion by Alderman Dickerson and a second by Alderman Long to approve Council Bill 43 as amended. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approved. And Council Bill 43 will become a resolution R26. Council Bill 44.
Council Bill 44, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Nationwide Retirement Solutions to transition to new deferred compensation plan provider for the city of Harrisonville and establishing an effective date.
So sometimes there's resolutions that you just dread the whole weekend because of information that we received last week about our transition from SPG or RPA. RPA is the group, SPG was we had the mutual funds, transitioning to Nationwide. The issue is surrender fees. Nationwide did not figure into what they were bringing in to pay for surrender fees. And we have now found out from SBG that there is almost $11,000 in surrender fees that they're asking for. So we have been trying to figure out a way to make this work so that we can move to what we think is a group that we would like to work with, because Nationwide does not have surrender fees, but they will have fees for their fixed asset. They've got a fixed savings account. So if you get a certain amount of interest paid on your investment, and the interest rate doesn't pay for that, then you would pay for that at the end. But any of the mutual funds, any of the targeted funds, any of those that are aggressive or managed funds, there would not be a fee for. So this just kind of explains also why we were thinking of moving. So we are trying to work through the process on this and work with SPG and work with Nationwide. Nationwide has some options, and we've looked at maybe running a parallel program for a while where we wouldn't put anything into the SPG fund, but we would put it into the Nationwide, and then we would have the employees transfer. Usually you don't pay surrender fees if you transfer individually. We're not sure what kind of issue we would face in something like that. This is something that is going to take us a little bit to determine how best to move this money and move it to the best interest of our employees. I would still like to move forward with this approval, because I think eventually we're going to go to Nationwide. But Nationwide also needs to have approval so that they can start negotiating with SBG. At this point, they don't have any authority to talk to them. So we're just kind of, wasn't anticipated, wasn't talked about in any of our meetings, like, oh, if you leave us, you're gonna owe us some money. But I will say, up front, it was in their RFP that we also reviewed from RPA. So it was the same, and we could not find the old paperwork. I have no idea where it is. So they found it for us, and it is in there. So it is legitimate. We weren't gonna just take their word for it, but it is legitimate. So it's a 5-year window where it's so much, the first 4 and 5 years is like 5%, then it goes down to 4, 3, 2, and then you're off the hook. But it would just be what's been deposited in the last 5 years. And I don't know how you would determine that on each individual investor or each individual employee. So we've got some negotiation to do. But we're willing to do it.
So are you saying that you need this resolution passed in order to be able to have those conversations with them?
Correct. But I don't anticipate spending $11,000 of the city's money. And I don't think the board anticipates spending $11,000. It'd make it a lot easier, but I can't recommend that.
So basically, you just need the power to negotiate at this point.
Well, I need the power for Nationwide to help us negotiate and come up with a solution with SDG.
And then will you come back to us with the decision before it's final?
If you wish. Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to stall, that's for sure. You don't want to have to put, but if possible, it'd be nice to know what the outcome is.
I would report back what we do. But if you want to have final say, then that might delay us, but.
Well, I don't want to, I mean, I don't really want to delay anything, but it'd be nice to, just to give us a heads up.
Yeah, I'll keep everybody up to date with emails.
Yeah.
How about that?
That'd be good.
I'll send those out.
I'd like to point out, this was brought up, and it is under the 15,000, so Mr. Welch could have said we voted on this, we're gonna push through this, so I appreciate you bringing this out, and not saying, well, we just went ahead and did it because it was under the amount that could be approved. I think it's prudent to bring that up, so appreciate that.
I make a motion to approve Council Bill 44.
A second?
I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Levison for approval of Council Bill 44. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 44 will become Resolution R27. Council Bill 45.
Council Bill 45, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with TAPCO for Traffic and Parking Control Company, Inc. for manually actuated flashing signals and establishing an effective date.
Good evening, Mr. Paddock.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. This is something that's been talked about for quite a while at the Harrisonville Cares Coalition. This is a group of people from the school district, the bus company, the city, PD, and Highway Patrol. And basically what these are rapid flashing pedestrian crossing signs. They're a little different than what you're used to seeing. These would be manually actuated, but they do a stagger pattern and they flash very quickly. They're not up flashing all the time like the ones we currently have. Everyone agrees those are not useless, but they're not followed.
People ignore them after a while.
Right.
To be honest.
When we originally were talking about this, we'd identified several places, but off the estimates we got, we thought we could do 2. At that time, we planned on doing one on South and Eastwood, and one just east of Highland and Mechanic, where the crosswalk currently is. After talking to different vendors, and there are not very many vendors that do these, we actually got them in about half the price we thought we would. The coalition then decided to say, okay, well, we can do 3 and stay within our budgeted amount, which is $28,000. Well, that put us like $700 away from being able to do a 4th one. So what they're asking for is the ability to do 4, which would be not in excess of $28,700. We can find the extra $700, PD's got the money here. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions. They would like to get these in before the school year starts.
This was approved by the Public Safety Committee, and I mean, the 2-for-1 deal, it's kind of hard to pass up.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So it's just a sign and it flashes and the kids press the button when they're getting ready to cross the street? Is that how that works?
Yeah, it'll be 2 signs, one on each side of the road. And yeah, they'll push the button.
And the point is to grab the driver's attention as they're crossing?
Yes, they're the new LED lights, so they're extra bright, and it won't be a constant steady flash. It'll do a rapid flash and then change and go back and forth.
And it's not just kids, it's anybody crossing.
Right, it's gonna be mostly kids though, with some of those
Yeah.
areas, we're talking about school
Right.
age. I just
Yeah.
kinda, the only part that kinda freaks me out is like a kid thinking, okay, if I push this button, then that means I can go ahead and cross because the light's flashing. You know, I'm not saying we shouldn't get it, I'm just thinking about children and thinking about, you know, what's their go ahead? Okay, I pushed the button, so now I get to go.
But they're crossing now without any type of warning to the
Yeah.
drivers.
Right.
So this is safer than that. You can't make anything 100% foolproof.
Right, that wasn't what I meant. I meant just like when you're like at a stoplight
Like a
and you
crosswalk.
see it, you see what I'm saying? Like you push the button, you wait for the thing to flash and let you know when you can go. With children, I think that we need to make sure whether the school district does it, explains this to these kids. I can't trust that their parents are understanding and explaining how all that works, but maybe it's something we could step in as a school district and explain, these are how this works. It doesn't mean you get to cross just because you push the button. I know that sounds silly, but I know how kids are,
And we
so
can talk to the school district.
Okay.
I don't think that's an issue. I think
Okay.
they'll be more than happy to have that discussion.
I think we should
Yeah.
do it. Okay.
We could probably put something in the information going out that first week of school.
They're part of
Just
the,
to add 'em.
they're part of the coalition, so yeah, I'm sure they'll, I mean, it wouldn't take much to. All right,
Okay.
any other questions?
One of the items on this for full disclosure is that it is over $15,000 and we're supposed to be getting bids for that. However, we believe that because of the price that it came in, that surprised us. We could have just bought 2 without bringing it to the board, but felt that it was important to buy the 4 and do a little bit over the budget amount, or budgeted amount that we had. And we need to get them in before school starts, so we wanted to bring it to the board to get approval of that. I believe that there's a limited amount of companies that you can talk to, and that we've talked to the companies that we trust and that have given us good prices in the past.
They also need to be MoDOT approved companies, which these are.
That would be even better.
And you might also add that once they're installed on MoDOT's right away,
Correct.
MoDOT maintains them.
Yes. Most of these will be solar. I think one of them is probably gonna be hardwired into electric, but
Yep. It's a good deal. I mean, I don't care how you look at it, it's a good deal, especially if you get 4 instead of 2, which is what we thought we were getting.
Well, yeah, and then, once we get them put in, the ones that bought it right away, they're gonna maintain.
Right, which is all 4 of these.
Yeah. So, all we have is the cost of putting them in, and then,
Do we need to make any kind of amendment because we're going over our amount, or we just need to vote on it as is with the bids we've got?
I think the explanation, which is on the record, that there's an urgency because you're trying to get it in before school starts. They went out and sought the vendors that would be typical, the ones that they trust. So I think that's a good enough record for the state auditor to look at this in the future and think that this is adequate. And as long as the board approves it after that explanation, I think you're in good shape.
As far as going over the budget, we budget, but you're your best guess, so I'd say, well, $700, we were budgeting for 2,
Yeah.
so,
well,
That's great.
these
yeah.
flashers have a 4 to 6 week lead times.
Good.
So
Well, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Milner and a second from Alderman Bowman. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 45 becomes Resolution R28.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for our agenda items tonight. Alderman committee reports. Alderman Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to let you know and invite you to the town hall meeting that Alderman Reese and I will be hosting on Saturday, July 7th, again at the Harrisonville United Methodist Church. Our guest presenters this time are going to be Cynthia Ammerman, who is the Executive Director of the Historical Society, and she's going to be here telling us about the buildings on the square. Each one of those buildings on the square, the entire square, for example, is on the registry of the National Historic Sites. And each one of those buildings has a story to tell. And so Ms. Ammerman and Larry Fouch will be our guest presenters, and they'll be telling us about the buildings on the square. So I think it's going to be an interesting program, and I'd like to invite you all to attend Harrisonville United Methodist Church, Saturday morning, July 7th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
All right. Alderman Bachman. Alderman Reese. Alderman Miller.
Nothing.
Alderman Dickerson. Nope. Alderman Long.
It's gonna cool down later on this week.
I agree. Alderman Turner.
Last Tuesday, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony at the park. We had some citizens, they bought some new benches, and they were originally gonna purchase 2, and they seen the other ones and how outdated they were, and so they went and bought 4. And remember their daughter and stuff. Benches, they're out by the tennis courts. Great, nice. They loved them. There's a big ceremony, a lot of people showed up. So I'm just glad that people still take an interest in parks.
Alderman Lees.
Not today.
Mr. Welch.
Just real fast on the city administrator's report, you're noticing that the household hazardous waste recycling event was very successful this year. Got shut down at 11:30 because they ran out of room in the trailer. So we put a banner up this year, and I think that helped draw people in. So it was successful. Or if you have any other questions, anything else on my report?
Okay.
That's it.
Well, I definitely contributed to the filling of that trailer. I missed the event for a couple of years and been stacking cans in the garage and finally got them out this year. So that's a much appreciated event. I don't really have much to report tonight. I do, the comment about the buildings that are on the square, on the register, little family history. My family used to actually own 2 of those buildings, so there definitely is a lot of history up there, and you know, I think people need to think back, and you know, we owe a lot to the late Mr. Dunmeyer, who saved a lot of those buildings. He didn't complete what he had envisioned for them, but he did save the buildings, he did preserve them, and now there's people making use of them. So you know, I think it's great that we can see those buildings come to their full potential. And I mean, if you go to the ones like Beck or Brick House or Birdie's over here, you can see what those buildings can really be. I mean, David Atkinson's building where the tattoo shop is, they're just really, really nice. So we're very lucky to have that. I think they're doing some type of tour of the old house. I believe it's not next weekend or this weekend, but the next weekend. What's that?
The 30th.
The 30th. They're doing tours, I think it's a haunted tour of the house, down on Mechanic, the big
Yellow
house.
house?
Yep, so,
Yellow house?
yeah, what I've heard is the proceeds from the tour is to help for renovating the house, so any money spent there helps to fix that up. I think that could really be a neat property. So just an activity I heard going on that, if you're into the supernatural, that might be something to check out. I think you can get tickets at Branding Iron, so anyway, that's all I have tonight, so I hope everybody enjoys the cooler weather as Mr. Long pointed out. However, the hot weather has been fantastic for our outdoor pool. It's been going gangbusters, so there is a bright spot to the heat. So,
Keep that in mind when I go out for it.
there you go. That's it. Alderman Dickerson?
Okay, I move that the Board of Aldermen go into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the revised statute of Missouri. Section 610.0212 to discuss real estate transactions.
Need a second, please.
Mr. Mayor, before we have a second, I have a question for Mr. Fairfield about the closed session that's proposed. Item number 5 on the list, I'm not going to name it, but I'm going to just mention item number 5 has already been discussed in open session. So my question is, why would we just be discussing it in closed session when we've already discussed it in the open session? Maybe it needs to be removed.
It depends, since I don't know what the discussion will be about, if it turns out that the discussion in closed session mirrors what was done previously, then it should just be reported out right after the meeting, because there could be an element to it that would still be eligible for being closed.
Okay,
Okay.
I just want clarification.
I'll second it.
Okay. Second from Alderman Long. I need a roll call, please.
Alderman Bowman,
Aye.
Alderman Bachman, Alderman Reese, Alderman Milner,
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson,
Aye.
Alderman Long,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Lason.
Aye.
All right, and we are adjourned to executive. Good night, everyone. Thank you.